Now let us try to add the required spaces for the letters to be displayed in the grid section. So as I plan to add 12 rows and 12 columns, I need to run a loop, that is actually 2 loops, and append div elements within the grid. So that after the end of the second loop, there will be 144 div elements within the grid div element. So let's do that part now. So in the arrange game function, after appending the word in this div element, let me run 2 for loops actually. So for where I equal to 1, I less than or equal to 12, you can make it as 0 and less than 12 or 0 and less than or equal to 11 like that. I am making it like 1 to 12. Then I plus plus. Okay. Then I want to have 12 rows and 12 columns. So if this is for rows, then we need to have one more loop for columns. So for where j equal to 1, j less than or equal to 12, j plus plus. So this is the second loop. And what I need to do, I need to add the items within the grid div element. So let me specify $grid dot append. I'm going to append div elements, right? So let me specify div and slash div. So this will actually append div elements. But for styling purpose, I want to give a unique class name for all these div elements. So let me specify class to be letter. So each letter is going to be placed within these div elements, right? Then when we place the letters, we need to make sure a number of things. That is, whether it is having enough space for a word to be placed either horizontally or vertically. So for that purpose, I want to have the row number and column number of each div element. That is, when I want to place cat, we will place these words at random positions and random orientations. That is, suppose the player plays the game one time, cat may be appearing at a position horizontally, but when he plays the game next time, the word cat will not be placed at the same position. We will be creating some random values as the start position and also some random orientation. So suppose we want to place the word cat. If the random start position we get is at 11th column means, then we might not be able to place the word cat as it requires 3 spaces. So if we want to place this word horizontally, and if it is at starting at 11, then 11 and 12, only 12 rows and columns will be there, right? So the third letter cannot be placed as there will not be enough space. So in that case, we will have to adjust its position so that is a starting position, so that this will have enough space for these 3 letters to be placed. So in all those calculations we are going to do, we need the row number and column number. So I'm going to add 2 data attributes that are custom data attributes offered by HTML5, which we can use to add some custom data. And let me name it as data row and data column. So for data row, what can be the value? Let me end this string here and also start a new one here. So in between, I want to have the data row value, and I can use the variable i's value here, right? So it will be from 1 to 12, which can be set for the data row. Again, I want to have data column. So within this, let me specify after a space data column. This is for column number, and let me put the equal sign, end this string and start a new string. Okay, and in between let me use the variable j, so that j will be again 1 to 12. So for the first time it will be 1, and this will run from 1 to 12, means row number will be 1 and column number will be from 1 to 12. Again the second time row number will be 2 and column number will be from 1 to 12. So like this we can have different row numbers and column numbers for all the 144 div elements which will be added now. Now if we check the output, we will not be able to see anything because we haven't styled them. Still, let me show you. Let me save this. Let me refresh this. Okay. Here we are not able to see anything. if we go to more tools, developer tools, and if I expand this container, buttons, words and grid, see here we are seeing div elements, in fact 144 div elements with class name letter for all the div elements. Here you could see data row 1, data column 1. For the second one, data row 1, data column 2, data row 1, data column 3, 4, and after 12 it becomes data row 2 and column 1. So 2, 2, 2, 3, like this we will have 12 items, that is 12 div elements. Then data row becomes 3 and column number becomes 1. So like this we have actually added 144 div elements within this main grid div element. Now let's try to style this individual div elements using their class name letter, right? So let me try to style them. Here let me specify dot letter. For this let me specify width to be 40 px, height also to be 40 px, border to be 1 px solid black, then float to be left so that they will be displayed one next to the other. I don't want to display the div elements one below the other, so I am specifying float to be left. Then let me specify text align to be center so that the letters will be displayed at the center. Let me set a font size of 25 px. Then a margin to have a gap between these div elements. Let me set it as 3 px. Let me have a border radius to have some rounded corners, so 5 px. And let me also set some box shadow to have some shadow effect. And let me set 2 px and 2 px as the horizontal and vertical values, 1 px as the blur radius and gray as the color. Now let me save this, and just to see the letters also, let me just have the letter A here. Okay, let me save this, let me refresh, click OK. See, we are seeing the letter A. In fact, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 rows are only getting displayed. Why? Because there is not enough space, I think. So what we can do, we can increase the width of the grid div element a bit. So here instead of 575, let me try to make it as 585 and check. Let me save this. Let me refresh. Okay. Okay, now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 rows are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So now they are getting displayed correctly. So if we don't have enough space for these items, suppose I make it as 400, then there will be more rows, right? Let me show you. Let me refresh. Okay, see, more rows are getting displayed because there is not enough space for all the 12 div elements to be displayed in one row. So we need to adjust this height, in fact, sorry, width and height, in fact. Now let me save this. Let me refresh. Okay. See, now there are 12 rows and 12 columns. Next, what we need to do, we actually have to place the letters of these words correctly, and in the remaining spaces we need to add some random letters. So we need to do that part next. So how we can implement the logic of placing the letters of these words correctly? Suppose we create a random orientation and random start value for these items. So if we create the random values for the starting and also orientation inside a loop for this array of items, then we will get different orientation and starting values for these items, right? That is, let me show you here. After adding these items, let me call a function. We will write it as a separate function, that is placing the words in the correct order. So let me have a function as place words. Okay, and after this let me write the function place words, and here let me create a variable named as orientations equals, it is an array, row, or we can make it as horizontal and vertical or row and column. Let me make it as horizontal. That are the possible orientations. Vertical. I am not implementing diagonal here because the selectable interaction allows us to select only horizontally and vertically more than one element. If we want to select multiple elements, then we have to click the Shift or Command key and select them one by one. So I am not going to implement that part. In fact, I have implemented how to do it for diagonal orientation in the word search game added in my jQuery course. Here I am only going for horizontal and vertical orientations. And let me run a loop for where I equal to 0, I less than my words dot length, which means that for all the items in the my words array, we are going to run this loop. Okay. And here, let me try to create where my orientation equals, I want to create a random value. That is, what I can do to create a random number, I can use the math.random method. And if I specify math.random into orientations.length, then this will be a number between 0 and 2, right? So it will be a decimal number. So to make it as an integer, let me use math.floor. So math.floor means it will return the largest integer less than or equal to this number, which means this value will be either 0 or 1 because orientations.length is 2. So this math.random creates a value between 0 and 1, that is a decimal value. When it is multiplied by this number, it will be a number between 0 and 2. When we specify math.floor, it becomes a number between 0 and 1. And if I specify orientations of this value, which means this will act as an index and will fetch that particular item from this array, right? So it will be either horizontal or vertical, and it will not be in any particular order. It might be horizontal 2 times, then vertical, or horizontal, vertical, vertical. It might be in any order. So we are creating a random orientation like this. And also let me create a start value, that is a starting position for the word to start. So if the starting number is 2 means index will be 0, 1, 2. This will be the div element. And then we will check whether these words can be placed from that starting number. So let me create a random number here also. So it should be, let me copy this part, right? And instead of orientations.length, it should be $.letter. We have added a class name for all those div elements, right? Here, letter class is added. So $.letter means it will be all the div elements having the class name letter. Dot length means it will be 144. So this will also be a number between 0 and 143. So even though this is first div element, if we use the index value or EQ method, this will be considered as 0th element because it starts from, index starts from 0. Now let me just show you these values, that is the randomly created values. So console.log, let me have the word my words of I. So for this word, the orientation is my orientation and starting value is start, just to show you the randomly generated values. Now let me refresh this. Okay, let me go to the console because we have just written it like console.log. See, for cat it is horizontal and the starting index is 35, which means that if I count it like 12, 24, 36, this will be actually 35, right? 0, 11, 12, 23, 24, 35. So this is the starting value of cat. Will we be able to place the word cat horizontally here? C, A, T? No, because A and T cannot be placed here. as there is not enough space. So what we need to do, we will have to make some adjustments or calculations to have a new starting position. Now suppose for cow it is vertical 80. So 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 72, 84 means this is 83 in fact, 82, 81, 80. So if we try to place the word cow starting from this COW, it can be placed, right? So like this we are getting some random orientations and random starting positions for all the words in our array. Next we are going to check whether each word is having enough space to place it in that particular orientation. If it is having space, we will add the letters there. If it is not having place, then we will make some adjustments and place it in that new position. So we need to do a number of calculations to place these words in fact, and we will do that part in the next lecture.